In general, let's just say that I believe that the world needs a lot more Jesus and a lot less Satan. And yeah, and that communities right now should be, learning how to be independent together and support each other because, well, let's just say this. There are groups that do not care if you eat. There are groups that actively do not care if we have a food supply here. Our food supply is in danger, and the food supply is only being held together currently by farmers and ranchers. Doing today. So for those of you who don't know, I've started an organization called Make Payson Rodeo Again. If you're interested in that kind of thing, please get a hold of me. I am looking for event producers, and I'm looking for several individuals to come out and volunteer and help me build things. I'm looking for sponsors. I'm looking for help with this whole thing. Really, I want a couple different pastors to come in and help, but I don't know what's going to happen. And I actually, I'm calling for new people to come into this community to help, well, evangelize, I guess, is the best way to put it. And yes, I know everyone's like, well, why can't you just keep it rodeo? Well, because ultimately, me as a person, one of the biggest things that I talk about is Jesus. And whether you do business with me, whether you participate in an event I put on, whatever it might be, just know that I am a Christian and I'm praying for you. And part of the reason why I'm out in the world at all, because I'm kind of a hermit, and let's be honest, I wouldn't be out there at all if I didn't have to be, is to share the love of Jesus. So if you guys are like that too, let me know. We need all the rain and the water that we can get. Let's see, all my little goats are starting to have babies. The first two just had, let's see, one of them had 3 kids and one of them had 1. So that was pretty crazy. And then let's see, all the roosters are cold. Finally, we got that done. The milk cow is fresh. We haven't started milking her yet. She's an older cow, so I'm not in a hurry to start milking her yet. And I really want to get some weight on her before I milk her. That's just my personal preference. We are not professional dairy people around here. We milk for personal use. So if anybody wants to come at me and tell me how crazy I am, well, you know what? Don't beat it till you try it. It might just be something you really like and enjoy after a while, and you learn the process. I actually had an individual the other day who told me that I was disgusting for raw milk, and this individual, let's just say that they thought that raw milk meant unfiltered milk. If you believe that, please read a book. Maybe even Google it. Even Google knows better than that. Just saying. Do I think on the industrial level that raw milk is probably the best? No. But do I think that on a neighborly level that we should be able to trade food back and forth to each other without the government telling us what we can and cannot do? Yes. The United States does need to call for a food emancipation proclamation. I believe this strongly. If you guys know anything about that, that means that let the local village decide what gets fed in the public square. They decide who the bad butcher is. And let's be so for real, in the age of technology and TikTok, whenever a restaurant messes up, let's be so for real, it's on a group somewhere and everybody in town knows about it. So why would it be any different for your local dairy or your local meat producer? They should not be held to the same standards as Tyson. Like, come on, guys. Would you hold your t-ball player or your college ball person to the same standards as somebody in professional baseball? No, you wouldn't. So why do we do that to our farmers and our ranchers? Especially the little guys. There's not many of us left. Let's see. Let's crack this Dr. By the way, for those of you who don't know, I am a Dr. Pepper fanatic. Dr. Pepper, I know a lot about your company that I wish I didn't know. But yeah, anyway. What's the other thing we're working on right now? We're going to be talking about the wolves. That's an ongoing issue. If you guys don't know anything about the wolves, you should really get to know something about the wolves because they're fixing to turn them loose everywhere, and it's going to include your neighborhoods. But some folks won't see the full picture until they're there, By the way, they used to put kids in cages at school bus stops to protect them from this new population of wolves that they've developed, by the way. So if anybody wants to come for me for that, just know you're going to be met with me laughing at you. Just saying. I mean this in the best possible way. But it's like the people who tell you that the mountain lion population is gone or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you guys would say that because you never leave the house. And on top of that, if you do go looking for some of this stuff, and I'm not saying our Arizona Game and Fish is actually really good, and they actually have some of the best hunters in the world working for them. So usually it's the Arizona Game and Fish that calls out this BS. But just so you know, whenever you lion hunt, before you make your harvest, you do have to validate the sex. And it's a lot easier whenever you have a animal that is holding them up in a tree versus not having animals that are holding it up in a tree to identify. If you don't believe me, you can actually look at my video. We are standing below that lion with our dogs, looking up to see, oh look, it's a tomcat. So when people tell you that what people are doing with lion hunting is bad, they don't live in a real world like you and I do. Let's just say that. Hey, Miss Wilson. By the way, if you guys ever have anything for funeral stuff, Miss Wilson, she works in one of the best funeral homes in her area, from what I can tell, and she's my cousin, so I just think she's a badass. Anyway, back to the lion conversation. Yeah, they're like a house cat, so it's funny. Where in the canyon walls, if you actually go looking for one of these things, you might see a track on the road, but where they really want to roam around in is in the cliffs and stuff. The best way that my family describes it is like a house cat. You know how the house cat likes to climb on the ledge of the shelf? It's the same thing with the mountain lion. Anyways, yeah, so we'll be doing some more research on that. The working dogs thing, by the way, they are working on a bill for the right to hunt stuff. And this is actually something that everybody should know. If you are in one of the states that doesn't have a secured right to hunt in your state, you should be pushing for that in your state, and here's why. Here very soon, they are going to be telling you that you should have to eat things like crickets, except they're not going to call it crickets. They're going to change the name of it. They already have, by the way. In that they're going to want to remove the carbon footprint of cattle. We see this already in other countries where they're giving special feed or medication to lower their carbon footprint. Okay, they do not want us, the American people, to have a food source outside of them. And frankly, if you don't believe me that this is going to be a problem, I want you to look at who the owner of Campbell's is, and exactly what he talks about is in his products. These are the type of CEOs that want to kick you off the land completely. They want to rewild it, and they want to go hide in their little bunkers whenever, they come to ruin because of all the crazy stuff that they're doing. They don't want you to be able to hunt. They don't want you to be able to fish. They don't want you to be able to do anything to secure your independence from them. And that is the bottom line. People really talk on here right now, and, well, I've already said enough. So let's just go after it. You're going to see a lot of talk here pretty quick about aliens, guys. And let's just say that the Bible tells us exactly who those people are, or those things are. And I have to warn you, they are not extraterrestrial. Those are demons. They're demons. And let's just say that, yeah, we've seen a couple things in the e-files that people should be, yeah, Miss Wilson, you are 100% right. They're going to bring them out to show them to the public. These deities they've been worshiping behind closed doors, guys. That's what I think is going to happen here. Pretty soon we're going to get to see exactly who is behind the curtain. I don't know that all of us will be there, though, when that happens because, well, let's be frank, some of us are not going to stand with evil, and that's okay. By the way, if I talk about things that upset people, that is not my intention. My intention is to empower people and to let people know that there are local issues in your town that you can face to fight back these systems that are being put in place. Miss Wilson, I can't disagree. I don't know, we are not appointed to wrath, so I wonder some of that, but when God was applying his wrath to Egypt, the Egyptians were suffering and the Jews were watching. So I want you to keep that in mind whenever we go through these trials and tribulations that are to come, is that we're going to watch. We're going to watch his judgment being handed out, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, look at the list of curses, man, that are put on a nation that turns away from God. I mean, they went into it quite a bit about, you'll pay for your home, but an alien will live in your home. There's a bunch of verses like that too. But it's all just part of the times that we're in. I'm not going to be scared because I know God's with me, that's all that we could do. Right now, one of the things I really think about, that I think everybody should be thinking about, is developing let's just say, at least a week of food and water. Just always have a week's worth of food or water at your house, because of the state of the world. You don't know what people are going to do, and we just constantly see evil coming out in the world, and it's just best to be prepared in case something happens. My recommendations for that, by the way: water, beans and rice are a good place to start. Oil, get your oils, get your flour, get stuff like that. Mylar bags, you can seal it, and you can use a curling iron or a straightener to seal the bags. It's not real expensive. You can start small. If you don't have a lot of money, you can go to a local food bank and you can store, or you can come to my house. I'll send some banks home with you, whatever. Give me a call. But the church should be preparing for persecution. I think that very strongly. Let's just say that the more research I do, the more I see that they have created a surveillance state that is very, very similar to that in which we've seen in the Sudan. And we know what has been happening in the Sudan. So just be prepared for what's to come, because if it doesn't happen now, the precedent is it's already an open door. So just keep that in mind. These are some of the things I talk about on my show. We're working on a lot of stuff right now locally. If you guys don't know, the Payson, flock out of Payson is a big thing that I am working on right now. If you guys don't know what flock cameras are, they are those solar looking things that are probably in close proximity to like a stoplight. They're popping up all over. Gila County has a bunch. Payson, Arizona has a bunch. I haven't seen any in Pine yet, but I haven't been paying attention. We're starting to find out that the company that owns Flock Data, let's just say they're working pretty closely with Palantir. And Palantir helped develop the software that they'll soon be doing in Gaza and using in Gaza for social scores. That's all going on. We all already probably have a social credit score that has been assigned to us. We just don't know what it is yet. If you guys don't believe me that this is a thing that can happen, go ahead and look into what is happening in Oxford. They are actually they are allotted a certain number of days out of their city. Any more days than their allotted days, they're fined. This is the goal, guys. This is where they start. They want us to be in 15-minute cities. By the way, Bill Gates is working on one right now in Arizona, a 15-minute city where, well, depending on what they decide to do with us, they're going to go ahead and kick most of us into the 15-minute cities. And then the rest of us will probably be too hard to govern. Let's be so for real. So, for those of you who are new to my page, I'm a little bit more ahead of the game with some of the people who are still stuck in the political scheme of things, because, well, look up what controlled opposition is, and go down that rabbit hole, and go and look up where our country really comes from. Look into some of the stuff that our founding fathers did, and look up some of the things that these Masons have done in our capital and a bunch of other places. You guys, it is a hard road to go down and a hard hole to go down. So if you're not in it, read that Bible and lean on Christ. You don't have to know everything. But if you're one of those ones that's like, oh, well, Cindy, we voted for such and such, and some of this is what we're voting for, I want to remind you that we still do live in a fallen world. And even though it is hard to believe, people are not always what their TV personality is. And as we've seen in the E-Files, a lot of them are very much not who they are on camera. So I would just leave that with you all on that subject. Yeah, and Trump's openly talked about the Golden Dome, which is the ultimate surveillance state, if you think about it. He wanted, don't vote for any of them, two different sides of the same bird. Miss Wilson, I couldn't have said it better myself. They are part of the same bird. Believe me, and believe me when I tell you that they serve at the same altar to the same false god. Now, us as American Christians, it's time for us to pay attention and start maybe thinking about, how we're going to protect the church from the upcoming persecution that is coming. By the way, so I wish you were here, my sweet cousin, because I will be working on a project here very soon that is very, very important to me, and I imagine that it would be very important to you too. I'm currently working on a project, and I will be releasing more about it now, actually. So I will be doing all the cooking for the Thriving Hope Ranch Rodeo that is coming up soon. For those of you who don't know, my testimony, so I was churched up for most of my life. Churched up, but there was no church in me. I was one of these people who sure I'd speak out about being pro-life, but I didn't have the belief in me. And when push came to shove, I was at the weakest point of my life in my addiction, and I chose to take the abortion pill. Now I speak out against that in the name of Jesus, and I want to remind everybody that you do have a choice, and it's organizations like Thriving Hope that will offer you support as a woman if you are ever in that situation and you don't know what to do. Thriving Hope offers life-affirming care in Safford, Arizona, and this year they are going to be running a ranch rodeo, and we will be having a New Mexico-style enchilada dinner, and we'll be making fried donuts over the fire for this cause. If you're interested in that, I will be posting more about it, but it's such a great thing to come out for, and if you have a heart for that, you can reach out to them to donate. They also need teams, so if you are in rodeo, we need as many teams as we can get. I want them to be booked. I want them to have teams from everywhere come and support this important thing. I really think that if I would have had somebody sitting there with me and telling me, God's with you, you did a lot of bad things, but you know what, you can walk out of this, I probably would have walked out of it. But because I was weak, and yes. So my cousin and I, we should have a talk on here, because you and I could really tell people, if you guys want to talk about the worst of the worst, I'm probably terrible, but I was horrible. I was absolutely the worst person possible. Satan really had his way with me for a while. And all I can say is that I am the chief of sinners. Yes, I was as well the chief of sinners. And all I can tell you is God will use the craziest things to, let's just say, to bring you back to him, and to help you in ways you never knew of. Anyway, so Thriving Hope will be on April the 3rd, and it will be at the Duncan Greenleaf County Fairgrounds. I'll have the flyer up on my page, and you guys can see that there. Let's see, what else do we have going on? So in March 21st and 22nd, to be specific, Payson, excuse me, I had to burp a little bit, my bad. Payson will be having the BR Diamond Productions, or BR Diamond Productions will be putting on barrels and poles in the pines, because they're going to be doing a barrel race and pole bending contest. I have the flyer. I need to be posting about that too. Make Payson Rodeo again invited them and asked them to participate, and we're so happy that they did. Forestry Service trying to kick Arizona ranchers off of 25 grazing permits. So get out of here with that trash. Get out of here. Get out of Gila County. Go bother Gates in the valley. Go bother all the data center people in the valley. Don't come to my state and kick out the ranchers and farmers while you let the technocrats run wild. Enough is enough. While they'll talk about ranchers and farmers being a big problem, don't get me wrong. We have some agriculture schemes here in Arizona. You guys know about the Saudi Arabian farmers that were pretty much stealing our water by growing alfalfa and shipping it back to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they were allowed to do that until they completely diminished all the wells in the local area. They were allowed to do that. Just like they're gonna allow these data centers to come up. They're gonna allow Gates to take a bunch of the water resources for whatever sick thing he has planned. By the way, that guy's a sicko. You can't tell me any different. Gates is a sicko. Let's see. He's openly released mosquitoes with malaria in his talks, and talks about what are they as the elites going to do with them. Does that sound cool to you? That doesn't sound cool to me as a person who likes to eat and live. I don't want a person like Gates. Oh, by the way, he got permission to spray something else on our food the other day, which is super not that cool. Why are we letting this happen? Anybody want to come up? Does anybody want to chime in? Here. You know, make it multi-guess, I guess. Maybe. Maybe not. Invite. I don't know who I should invite. Who should I invite? No friends or viewers to, no viewers or friends to invite. Oh, nobody's in here. Okay. Well, darn. Oh, sweet. Now we can invite. Nope, I can't invite anybody yet, I guess. Weird. I wonder if anybody's actually, I don't think anybody is actually in here now. Let's see, who can I invite to come on here with me? I don't know. I do not know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still trying to figure out this stuff on here. I'm not really like the best at figuring this out yet, but we're gonna get there. You don't learn by not doing it, so you know how that works. Huh. Okay, well, I guess maybe I'll try Facebook.